Don't eat these 15 foods on a cruise. The food poisoning risk is real, and what we discovered about cruise ship kitchens will make you think twice before touching the buffet that thousands of passengers visit every single day. Each year, more than 129,000 people fall violently ill at sea, and some of the most tempting dishes are actually the most dangerous, hiding bacteria no inspection can catch. Former cruise chefs admit that food that looks fresh is often days old, and utensils meant to feed hundreds barely get sanitized. If you've ever trusted a cruise buffet, the hidden risks might shock you, and the 11 foods most likely to ruin your trip could be on your next plate. The truth starts here. More than 129,000 cruise passengers are officially reported sick each year, according to the CDC. These cases are not just numbers. They represent outbreaks of norovirus, E. coli, and other foodborne illnesses that can spread rapidly in the close quarters of a ship. The CDC Vessel Sanitation Program is responsible for inspecting cruise ships operating from U.S. ports, conducting detailed reviews of kitchens, food storage, and sanitation practices. Each vessel carrying over 13 passengers and docking at a U.S. port receives at least 2 surprise inspections per year, with scores made public and violations documented. Despite this oversight, the number of reported outbreaks has reached record highs, with 19 gastrointestinal incidents in just the first 9 months of 2025. These inspections are designed to catch lapses before they become outbreaks. But the sheer scale of cruise operations, serving thousands of meals every day, means even small failures can spiral into a crisis affecting hundreds. Food safety at sea is a numbers game, and the odds are not always in passengers' favor. A family from Ohio boarded their cruise expecting sun, laughter, and memories. Instead, their trip unraveled on the second night when their youngest daughter woke up vomiting. By morning, both parents were sick, with fever, chills, and relentless cramps. The ship's doctor diagnosed them with acute gastroenteritis, likely from contaminated food. Their dream vacation shrank to 4 claustrophobic days in a cramped cabin under strict quarantine. They were forbidden to leave. The cost for medical care and isolation added insult to injury. Over $700 for IV fluids, anti-nausea medication, and daily checkups, all billed to their onboard account. They missed every port. No snorkeling, no island tours, just the hum of the air conditioner and the taste of salt crackers. When the ship docked, they dragged themselves off, exhausted and angry, while healthy passengers swapped stories of adventure. For this family, a single meal had turned paradise into a nightmare, and their story is far from rare on the open sea. A former cruise ship chef remembers the pressure of feeding thousands every day. There was little room for error and even less time for caution. He remembers deliveries arriving close to their expiration date and management telling staff to use everything. Nothing could go to waste. Food items that looked fresh on the buffet were sometimes days old, repackaged or rotated from previous meals. Utensils moved from one tray to the next, rarely sanitized between uses, serving hundreds of passengers in a single lunch rush. In the chaos, staff sometimes skipped temperature checks or used the same gloves for raw and cooked foods. When a refrigerator failed, there was not always a backup plan, and spoiled seafood or wilted greens might still end up on the line. Procurement shortcuts meant relying on whatever ingredients the ship could get at the last port, even if quality was questionable. 3 malpractice claims in the last year alone have named kitchen staff for unsafe handling. For those who worked below deck, the real risk was not just a bad meal. It was knowing that a single oversight could make hundreds sick. Buffet seafood displays are the first warning sign. On a Silversea cruise in 2025, E. coli swept through 51 guests and 5 crew, traced to shrimp and mussels kept on ice that never stayed cold enough. A former seafood chef said they would pile shellfish high before sunrise, and by lunch it was nearly room temperature. Vibrio and Listeria flourish in that window, turning a treat into a hazard. Pre-cut fruit and vegetables follow close behind. Royal Caribbean's 2024 voyage saw norovirus linked to fruit platters served at breakfast. Slices prepared days ahead, stored in bulk, and left near dishwashers became perfect for germs. A galley worker recalls pre-cut fruit stacked in bins, warm and humid. Raw oysters brought trouble for Carnival in 2023. Vibrio sickened dozens after a single tray of oysters. A food safety expert warns that shellfish is a gamble anywhere, but at sea, you depend on the last port supplier and the ship's fridge. Salad bars offer little safety. Norwegian Cruise Line's 2022 E. coli outbreak started with mixed greens washed in recycled water, then left out for hours. A former sanitation officer says one missed temperature check and everyone pays. Sushi and sashimi caused a norovirus spike on Princess Cruises in 2021. Much of the sushi was made in bulk and handled by gloved hands that touched other items. A sushi chef says sushi should be made to order, not for the masses. Hot foods left under heat lamps, like Royal Caribbean's 2020 chicken, triggered a staphylococcus outbreak. Carnival's 2019 listeria outbreak began with cold trays ignored during the lunch rush. 7 foods, 7 outbreaks, and the list continues. Creamy desserts on cruise buffets might look harmless, but in 2018, Norwegian Cruise Line saw dozens fall ill after staphylococcus spread through cakes and mousses left unrefrigerated for hours. A former pastry chef says he was told to prep trays of eclairs and custards at dawn, only to watch them sit untouched until late evening. He admits there were not enough hands to rotate items out. Staphylococcus bacteria thrive in sweet, creamy fillings, turning a treat into a dangerous liability. Bread and pastries are not immune either. Royal Caribbean's 2017 outbreak traced staphylococcus to bread baskets handled by hundreds of passengers. A galley worker recalls everyone grabs for the rolls and nobody thinks about the tongs. Each touch can transfer germs, especially when hand washing is not enforced between meals. Even self-serve beverages have sparked outbreaks. Carnival's 2016 norovirus incident was linked to drink machines used by sick passengers. A ship medical officer says those buttons get pressed all day, and they are rarely cleaned between uses. Condiment stations also carry hidden risks. Norwegian's 2015 staphylococcus outbreak began with shared ketchup and mustard bottles. A former chef says staff would wipe bottles down at night, but during service the bottles passed from hand to hand. Pastry displays, beverage dispensers, and condiment trays might seem safe, but each carries its own threat. Holland America's 2013 listeria scare began with cream puffs. Costa's 2012 salmonella case was traced to bread pudding. MSC's 2011 norovirus outbreak started at the ice cream station, where a single scoop spread illness to dozens. Behind every tempting buffet item is a chain of hands, utensils, and hours at unsafe temperatures, each one a chance for disaster. On June 27, 2025, David Hilbery sat down for dinner on the final night of his Caribbean cruise aboard MSC World America. Hours later, he was racked with fever, nausea, and relentless diarrhea. By the time the ship docked, he was so dehydrated and weak that he needed to be hospitalized for 4 days at Jackson South Community Hospital. Medical tests confirmed salmonella poisoning traced back to food served on board. Hilbery filed a lawsuit against MSC Cruises on August 30th, documenting his ordeal and the aftermath: lost wages, mounting medical bills, and the memory of a vacation turned into a medical emergency. His case is just one example of how foodborne illness on a cruise doesn't end at disembarkation. The harm can follow passengers home, and sometimes it follows cruise lines into the courtroom. Don't eat these 15 foods on a cruise. The food poisoning risk is real, and what we discovered about cruise ship kitchens will make you think twice before touching the buffet that thousands of passengers visit every single day. A food safety expert puts it plainly: your choices matter more than you think. Wash your hands with soap and water before every meal. Hand sanitizer alone doesn't stop norovirus. Skip the buffet and head for made-to-order restaurants. where food spends less time exposed and is prepared fresh. If you do visit the buffet, eat early, when dishes are newly set out and temperatures are safest. Check that hot foods are steaming and cold foods are chilled. Lukewarm is a red flag. Use a clean plate for every trip to the line and never share utensils. 5 simple steps: wash up, avoid buffets, eat early, check temperatures, and use clean plates. These habits can mean the difference between a dream vacation and days spent sick in your cabin. As the expert says, control what you can, and you'll tip the odds in your favor. Every year, thousands board in search of escape, and hundreds return with a story they never expected to tell. Food safety at sea is only as strong as the weakest link in the kitchen. Your choices at the buffet can protect more than just your vacation. Stay sharp and bon voyage.